Hello, everybody. Oh, Travis here from Tpull's Corner. I am never going to get my 15 wins in. We had a video game driver update, and then my computer seemed to freeze. Nothing is going right. We'll probably try and do a little gameplay. We're at the festival, and we've got 5 decks to choose from here. And I think I'll showcase the red and blue one tonight if we get a chance. But I wanted to take a few minutes out and tell you a story. Just because we've had some conversations and questions on the YouTube comments lately about, how many cards should really be putting in your deck? Why are you doing 250? How many lands should you be using? I try and do stuff and I get beat all the time. What's going on? And these are all good questions, and they're questions that have basically been going on ever since Online Arena debuted in the first place. So we just had the debut of Phyerexian, all will be one. I've opened a few packs, waiting to open a few more. And, since you're tuning in, let's just open one right now. Let's see what stuff we get. Alright, Stinging Hive Master, Toxic 1. Alright, when he dies, create something. Eye of Malcator, when he enters scry 2, when another artifact enters, it becomes 4/4 until end of turn. Fleshless Gladiator. Turn from the graveyard tapped. Activate only if opponent has 3 more poison counters on them. I already have one Quicksilver Fisher. When he enters, you draw a card, then discard a card. 4/3 flyer. Aspirant's Ascent. My first copy, instant. Target creature gets +1/+3, gains flying and toxic 1. Atmosphere Surgeon. Phyerexian Wizard 2/1. When you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on them. You can remove those and make them flying. And Serum Snare. Oh, I've already come up against this card. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If that permanent had mana value 3 or less, you get to proliferate. So if you've got a poison counter on you, the proliferate means you're going to add another poison counter. And what do we get? We get a rare wild card. Alright. Already got 5% of the collection. Alright, so what I wanted to do is spend a couple of, maybe 5 matches, describe what it was like the first couple of nights that we had Phyerexian all will be one, and that we were facing it. So I came on board, I logged on, I loaded up a random deck, I started playing. I came up against, let me just load up a deck so we can go in and I can show you. I went out against a mono-white poison deck, and this is the highlight of the card. Let's see if it'll let me find it real quick. Oh, I need to craft it because I don't own it yet. There we go. Skrell's Hive, enchantment. Both players got this out, eventually killed me, in part by using it. So at the beginning of upkeep, you lose 1 life, create a colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature with toxic. It can't block, but when it hits you, it gives you a poison counter. And, I got beat twice in a row, which is actually not a problem, but I realized, okay, it's late at night, I don't have time to create a new deck from scratch. So what do I have in my arsenal that can at least deal with this? And so I loaded up my Pest Control deck. And if you have not seen it yet, it is posted already, the video highlighting this deck and how it works. But it's got a bunch of -1/-1 and -2/-2 kind of board wipes to get rid of creatures. Okay? Which is all well and fun. But what I did was I imported this into my decks, I loaded up, I played my 3rd match, and I was no longer going up against Skrell's Hive. I was going up against this guy, Phyrexian Obliterator. 5/5 Phyrexian Horror with Trample. Whenever a source does damage to the Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. So, if you block with a 5/5 creature, you lose your creature, the Obliterator dies, and then you have to sacrifice 5 other permanents on the board. Now, they could be 5 lands, and if all you had was 5 lands, then you left with a board with nothing, and your opponent's probably going to wipe the mat with you pretty quickly. But the thing is, if you look at my cards, I could play a Choking Miasma, and that would give it -2/-2 if I had 3 mana. If I had 6 mana, I could play another card that would also give it -2/-2. I could give every card on the board -4/-4 with 6 mana. He played a Phyrexian Obliterator on curve on the 4th turn. I did not have 6 mana. And even if I did, I could make it a 1/1, not a 5/5. Right? I couldn't subtract 5 toughness and kill the creature. So I did have a Terror Sunder, so I got rid of the first one. But as it turns out, by the 8th turn, he had drawn and played his 3rd Phyrexian Obliterator in the deck. So four Obliterators in the deck, I'm assuming. And after I got rid of the first one, he laid out the other 2 in quick succession. And yeah, so I lost. And by the time the 3rd one came around, I did have 6 mana, and I did have both of these spells. And I could have made it a 1/1, and that would not have helped me in the least. So I don't know how much I should complain about that, except for the fact that it wasn't the only occurrence of the evening. As a stubborn fool, I kept Pest Control for the entire evening. Remember, I faced those 2 mono-white poison decks the first 2 matches when I used a different deck? I never faced mono-white poison for the rest of the entire evening. Now, just as an aside, this is a rerun card, right? Here's the original art, the original card for it when it was debuting years and years ago. We faced Phyerexian before. I had a big absence between my college days when I had a gaming network and played physical across-the-table Magic, and 20 years later or so, 22, 23 years later, when the online arena debuted and I decided to try it out. So I missed the Phyrexian Obliterator the first time around. I wasn't there for his debut. But if you spend any time in historic format, he's a popular card. So just, even though if you're a new player and you haven't encountered him yet, if you've been playing the last year and a half and you went into historic at all, you would have met this guy already. So he's not new. He's a rerun. And that's not necessarily a bad thing all the time. But just so you know, the head designer, Mark Rosewater, he loves Phyrexians. He equates them to Star Trek Next Generation's The Borg, right? Resistance is futile, you will be assimilated. And he loves the Phyrexians as a villain for the Magic universe. He also is a big advocate for the poison counters, the poison mechanic. He tried to get them in earlier into the game, didn't work, sort of wasn't accepted, but he was patient and he found a place for it and he got his foot in the door. And now, whenever he has a chance, he gives us poison. And poison goes quite naturally with the Phyrexian menace. So I can only imagine that Mark Rosewater is feeling very happy right now because he's got the Phyrexians back as the main attraction, and he's got poison again. And it's back in a probably a way that's bigger than ever before. So he's probably sitting very happy right now. So it's a different debate on hey, if you want to keep things new and fresh and exciting, why did you give us a rerun card that's obviously going to take over the show again, because you had to know that would happen. I mean, Sheoldred's going to be displaced, I think, a lot. But that's sort of a debate for a different time. What I want to do now is I want to bring up my untapped statistics. And here's the Pest Control deck. And the Magic says they try and keep things roughly at a 50% win-loss ratio. And because I stuck with Pest Control that night, and because I faced everything except the mono-white 1/1 poison decks with this deck, I lost a lot. So I'm at 42% right now with this deck. And you can see on the history, draw, play, draw, play, draw, draw. So I only get to go first a third of the time. It's not 50% for me. 33% of the time I get to go first. The opponent usually gets to go first when I'm facing them. And so that's resulted in not very good results for this deck. And so eventually, after so many losses in a row, the game machine, sort of the engine, relaxed against me because it can't just really sabotage me for the entire evening. And I did eventually face a green-white poison deck, and I soundly defeated it because I got to draw some of these cards. And it was interesting for one of the matches that I came up against a mono red deck, and they had a lot of the new Phyrexian cards, and they were a weenie deck. There was toughness 1, toughness 2, and I lost that match because I didn't come up with any one of these minus cards. So if you look, let's not include Skulking Killer, okay, because that you can only use if the opponent has no other creatures out. Let's only stick with this column here, which is where all the -1, -2 cards are. We won't even include things like Gravelighter that can get rid of a creature, okay? We've got Bloodline Culling, we've got 4 copies of Choking Miasma, 4 copies of Gruesome Realization that give -1, -1, 4 copies of Malicious Malfunction, and a Nightclubber that also gives everybody 1/1 when Nightclubber arrives on the scene. So that is 14 cards out of a 60-card deck. Okay? Out of 36 cards that we can use as spells that aren't lands, 14 of them give -1, -1, or -2, -2 to small opponent creatures. In that mono red deck, you know how many of those cards I drew? We lasted like 8, 9, 10 rounds. I didn't count them. I wish I was recording. We came up with 0 of my removal cards. 0. As he put little weenie card after weenie card out against me, and for the first 3 or 4 turns I could have wiped his entire board with one spell. And the deck never gave me any one of the 14 cards that would have let me beat a new Phyrexian deck. So, my conspiracy theory is that they want to encourage new players. They want to encourage old players to play with the Phyrexian cards. They want them to experience success with the new expansion. And they programmed their machine. They tweaked it. They didn't just leave it the way it was. They actually engineered it for the expansion to make sure that people playing with the Phyrexian cards had a leg up on people playing with the older cards. To the point that if you faced nothing but the white weenie decks, if you tried to switch it up and confuse the algorithm, it would automatically detect your change, it would assess it, it would say, this player is not playing with our new Phyrexian cards at all, and the 1/1 card decks won't do any good against him, so we need to go find something better to defeat him. And that's what they did to me. And so I lost a lot that first night. So that's the first night. Let's go to the second night. The second night I switched it up a little, and I made a different deck. I didn't make it, I already had it. But I decided, let's go check historical, and let's see who's using the Phyrexian cards in the historic format. And so I used my I'm in a Rush deck. And I have one of these videos in the can. I don't think that I've published it on YouTube yet, so I will get to it. I have so much content in the can, so to speak. But this is a mono red burn. Its average mono value is 2.2, and I have the 20 regular lands, and then I have 4 of the Spike-Filled Hazards. So with a lot of the mono red burn decks, people are doing 19, 20 lands. I didn't do that. I have 24 lands. And what I came up with was I came up against White Poison. And I went up against this card in the first couple of hands. Crawling Chorus. It's 1/1 horror with Toxic 1. When it dies, you create a Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic 1 and the creature can't block. So if I just killed it, I just end up with another 1/1 toxic creature. So I had 1 lands. I started with 1 land and 2 Spike-Filled Hazards. So I placed my 1 land down, and I used a Spike-Filled Hazard because it exiles the creature. So the token artifact creature, the Phyrexian Might, won't come into existence. It doesn't count because the Crawling Chorus never goes into the graveyard. It doesn't die, it's exile. So I used the Spike-Filled Hazard and got rid of the threat. The next turn, my opponent played another Crawling Chorus. So all I had was another Spike-Filled Hazard, so I used my second Spike-Filled Hazard, and I got rid of that threat, because I don't want to have to deal... I had nothing else to stop things from giving me poison, and I didn't want to die from poison that early, in the match. So I've got 1 mountain, I've used 2 Spike-Filled Hazards, and for the next 7 or 8 turns, I draw 0 lands. No joke. No lands. The deck gave me no additional lands for the entire game. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't dying because I had Reinforced Rodents, I had Rabbit Batteries, I had Phoenix Chicks, and I had Kumano Face's Kakazan. So I had many of these, and I played them, and I used them going up against this other deck, who didn't miss a single land drop, I must point out. And he beat me because I only had to face him with, 1/3 of my deck and 1 land. So I'm going to show you the untapped statistics on this deck now. Okay, let me pull those up. This is the I'm in a Rush deck. Here's the win rate. It's not 42%, it is 85%. This is the deck. I'll take it into ranked. It's historical ranked, but it's still. If I want to make the 15 wins before reset, which I'm not going to do tonight because I'm doing this instead. I'm never going to get my 15 wins in. This is a very successful deck. The Azorius Soldiers is somewhere around 58-59%, and that's considered to be really good so that Magic won't nerf you, right? Mono Red Burn does pretty well. And this particular deck that I've constructed, I think, is one of my winningest decks. And you can see 82 matches, won, 15 lost. A couple of those losses were last night. And how do I do on, let's say, play, draw, 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 play, draw, play? So 5 times where the opponent got to go first, and 3 times where I got to go first. So even Historic, with a different deck, even though I get a slightly more chances to go first, I am still going first less than half the time. Now, my conspiracy theory is because I don't give them any money yet on this online game. I've bought physical Magic cards since I got back into it, but and on occasion they give you an arena code with that. So I have a couple of like Planeswalker decks I added in digitally. It's not like Wizards of the Coast has not gotten thousands of my dollars over my lifetime already, both now and earlier in my life. But I haven't spent any digital money or money to get digital goods on the online arena itself. And all I can think of is that there have to be players out there that they do get to go first a lot of the time. Because there's players like me, and we're only getting to go first like a third of the time. And you can't engineer your entire player base to only go first a third of the time. There have to be other players that get to go first more often. And I have no proof to back this up, but I don't give them money, so I'm assuming that they're paying customers, that the machine detects that to a certain degree, and the people who pay get to play first. I have done no scientific studies to back that up. It's just me talking out whatever orifice you choose to identify. But my experience in Historic versus Phyrexian decks is that they mono-starved my deck. My average monocost 2.2 deck, it put me against Phyrexian cards, and it made sure that I lost. It made sure, and I held in there for quite a while. I was actually doing pretty well against that deck, and if I'd gotten a couple of lands, I could have won pretty easily. And it did not let me do squat. And then the night sort of normalized after that. But so it doesn't matter if you're in Modern Standard, if you're going to Historic. If you want to have some fun, you need to be playing with the new Phyrexian cards. Or you're going to get starved for mana, or you're going to flood out with lands, or it's going to face you against the exact opposite of what your deck is designed to do. And we get enough of this normally, just in the course of everyday play. But for those 2 nights in a row, no matter which format I tried, no matter which deck I tried, I experienced this to the nth degree, to like a whole nother level of abuse. And so that's, again, this is just me talking. If you're new to the game, and no matter what you seem to do, you're losing, hang in there. Because, as I showed you, with you can construct decks that have winning percentages, okay? And you can have them that even surpass the average statistics that happen with some of the winningest decks that they monitor in their meta. Granted, this is Historic, though. Wizards of the Coast does really good to monitor Modern Standard. That's their flagship. That's where they want the approximate 50% win percentage to be. I don't think they tweak Historic quite as much to mind it. So if you look up, let me go see if I can find the other deck that's also I'm in a rush, but it's made for Modern Standard. Here it's less. It's still a winning percentage. So I'm in a rush used for Modern instead of Historic. I have to cut out certain cards, so I can't bring them from Historic to Modern. So that's only 77% versus 85%. So, but even there, you can see Mono Red Burn sometimes seems to win against certain colors all the time, and then there are certain things that it has trouble with. And that's a pretty good win percentage, too. We'll see if that holds up as I use it more and increase the sample size, because 13's not too high. But you can see how much I've gone to Historic, and because I'm in a rush to get my 15 wins in, I play something that has relatively short matches as long as they don't spend the entire time roping me. And I've played a lot more rounds with this. That's 97. And that's a much more competent sample size of which you can be assured that you're doing things the way that you want to be doing them, and that you can reliably trust what the data is telling you. And this is only going to get, as I keep the deck and I don't make adjustments to it, and I just keep playing it, and I increase the number of matches, and we'll keep monitoring the on play versus on draw percentage and stuff like that. But so far, everything that I track, it's holding up. So if you're new, go ahead and open your packs. Enjoy the new cards. Some of these cards I've opened up at least half a dozen packs already. I've got 5% of the collection. I've already got some very exciting cards. I think they've done well on some of the design. I think it's debatable on whether we should have had exposure to the Phyerexian Obliterator again, because I do think between that and the poison mechanic, it's going to limit our deck choices on what we configure, what cards we use. And there's a lot of cards out there in the expansions right now that we get to choose from, and we're not going to win with those. There's all sorts of cards that all of a sudden we cannot use. Like, I think Mono Red is going to be backed into a corner on what cards are available for them. I think they're going to be in for a world of hurt. And that's just my guess. Even though I've had, a lot of success before Phyrexia came around with my Mono Red, I think this is going to change the environment quite a bit, and in a very constricting way, which is not good for experimental types like me that want to just go crazy with all sorts of weird cards that, all of a sudden might have had a chance depending on the draw. And now, if someone's going to draw 3 Phyrexian Obliterators, that easily takes a couple hundred cards that I was going to look at off the table. So in my opinion, very, very limiting. I'm not sure how healthy that's going to be for the environment. I suspect that in general, the population is going to jump on the new expansion. They're going to be excited by some of the good new designs. They're going to adjust to the new environment. And I will be in the minority. Because I like to spend extra time on the older expansions and thoroughly exhaust the ins and outs of every card and find the weird cards that people are not touching and say, is this a bad card, or can we actually do some neat things with it? And we've done that. We've spent an entire week on one card creating 4 or 5 decks around it and showing you, hey, we're going to match it with green color, and look what we can do now that we couldn't do before. That's kind of cool. And we do that a lot here on this channel. So I think there might be less of that. We'll see. Maybe it'll open up new avenues that I can explore the new strangeness that is Phyrexia, and we'll still find a way to have fun. But I think it did just automatically cross off and eliminate a whole bunch of perspective cards that maybe we could have fit into our decks before, and now it's like, oh no, that won't do anything against the Obliterator, so you can't use it, and that kind of thing. Or no, that's not going to do anything against these 1/1 poison tokens, so you would just be run over immediately. So that card that you were thinking of using is just completely not viable anymore. I think that's going to happen. But anyway, that's just me ranting. Let's go into the festival. They gave us 5 pre-constructed decks. And I don't want you to go away without a chance to do some gameplay, see some gameplay. So I can still rant while I play, right? We don't need to stop and show you any more of the untapped statistics or anything like that. But I am looking for feedback, so, like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed if you're new, while we go up against Combat Wombat here. And if you like this type of discussion, if you like this type of what you might generously call analysis of the game, let me know if you want to hear more of it, if you care about my opinion, or if you just want to see janky decks and you want me to shut up and play. Here's our commander, Okiva Enigma Goliath, legendary Phyrexian Nightmare, 6/6 flyer with Ward 3 that you have to pay 3 life if they're going to do anything against. We're up against the poison decks. Alright, so they can tap me, activate only if opponent has 3 or more, so it becomes 3 mana cheaper to actually tap it if I get a poison counter out. I'm not going to do anything yet. They can get their commander out for only 4 mana. And this guy will give you 2 poison counters at once. Which one do I want to use? This one's a sorcery. yeah, we'll place that out now. I guess we're just going to obliterate it, because I sort of want to keep that handy in case we come up against an artifact, if possible. And again, that's all I want to do. I know most people would use the consider right away. I never have been the type to use considers right away. There's the Squirrel's Hive. There's the one that I faced my first 2 matches the other night. It is showcased. It is one of the best ones that they wanted to show us. Let's see. That is an enchantment, though. It's not an artifact. So I guess we'll bring down the Archmage. And that's all we're going to do. Luckily, these things don't have Death Touch. They only have Toxic themselves. Bringing down the Commander. So maybe I should have kept the Obliterating Bolt for him. Okay, so the next time target creature would deal combat, you prevent it damage and just create another one. That's if they would deal. He's doing it on his own creature? So I don't get a token then, do I? You didn't create anybody either. Okay, so we're going to pass because that'll change it tonight. Vadric will get more powerful, and our cards will get cheaper. Rabble-rousing is gross. So I'm going to need a board wipe. Real soon. Let's go ahead and do 3 there. And we're just going to kill it. My turn. Sweet. Okay. When you use the battlefield, I would like to hold on to this longer, but I don't think I can. So we're going to exile this card, I guess. Not sure that it matters too much. And we will use it on one of these. And then we will use Consider. And it's another land which I kind of have to take, right? Because we do want to get our commander out soon. And we are staying on defense with Vadric. He becomes more powerful as we switch because we did 2 spells, so it switches from night to day. And Squirrel's Hive gives him yet another Phyrexian Might. He can attack with 2 creatures, which means he can get 2 green and white citizen creature tokens if he wants to send 2 of these my way. Can I discourage him from attacking? He's not attacking. Okay. Well, that's easy. We're going to flip it from night to day then. Vadric will get more powerful. We're waiting to see what he's going to do. Maybe I shouldn't auto-pass if he's going to do something. He's going to draw a card. Okay. Yeah, you can draw your card. I don't have one of those yet. What can I do here? Only -1. If it was kicked, that creature blocks this turn if able. Oh, that's bad. So I'm going to play this now. I get to draw a card no matter what. I'm not attacking, so I don't need to kick it. We'll just get rid of one of these attackers' abilities to do us any damage. We don't have a flyer. They're still keeping their poison guys away. I don't have enough to summon Okiva still. So we will get some flying defense in there. And to flip it again, we'll go ahead and cast Seasoned Storm. And we can attack with that one. And we flip from night to day, and Vadric gets more powerful. These don't count as soldiers, so he's only got one soldier with Myrel, so they'll create one if she attacks. They kind of need removal. If they get rid of my flyer or Vadric, I'm in trouble. Oh, never mind. Adeline's gonna kill me easy enough, right? Attacking for one creates a second one, so they get to create all these extras. And I do need a board wipe or something. Okay, so I guess if I do 3, 4, I can't kick this. So let's kick this. We'll get rid of Myrel, so we don't have to worry about more soldiers coming up. And we'll throw down the Whispering Wizard. And that's 2 spells, right? Yeah. We were already in daytime, I didn't need to switch, but now we've got 5 potential blockers versus how many opponents? You might sacrifice if you attack with Adeline, I guess we'll give up our elemental. Commander comes back down. I didn't have enough cards in my hand to even kill Myrel. I should have done the math. That was a misplay on my part. Whoop-de-doo! I can now cast this one. Do I bother to keep that in reserve? I guess we'll just do this now. It'll give me all the bonuses, right? Now I've got some defenders. And I can still attack with my 1 flyer. Oh, I had another one, but... oh well. I don't care about the 1/1 soldiers, but I do want to block all these Phyrexian knights, so we've got 5 there. Let's see. If you control 10 or more creatures, blah blah blah, but that's no winning the battle. That's no winning. That's the other card that has the alternate win scenario. You didn't attack. It doesn't do anything. Didn't cast any spells. It goes tonight. Vadric becomes even more powerful. It would be nice if I could get something other than a land at this point. We're at 9 lands and no spells to 6 lands that my opponent has. There we go. Yeah, he's catching up. On track. I don't think he's using Re-Evor quite right. The next time target creature would deal combat damage, prevent that damage, and instead... so he could attack with Adeline. Now, she'd die, She wouldn't cause any damage, but they create 19 artifact creatures with toxic, and that would be enough to kill me. Did they just attack with everything? Okay. That's a 66. Okay, so we beat that. We need to get rid of all these guys with poison counters. 3. Yeah, let's see. Is he attacking with my Rel? Where's my Rel? Let's get rid of my Rel. Where's the rest of these? It's getting hard to see everybody that's coming at me. Here, we'll block the 3 points. Kill the 3 points. Kill the 3 points. Do I have anybody left that I haven't used to block anybody yet? Okay, I think that's all I've got. How much damage is that going to do to me? Four life points. Down to 4. We get another land. We attack with our flyers and our trampler. They could block the trampler. They've got like 30 citizens. Have fun with that. Final score, 4 to -4. He might have misplayed that. He might have been able to take me out if he'd done that earlier. That was not the greatest match for me, considering how much I flooded out with land there at the end. And I misplayed trying to take out my Rel the one time. But we get the final 2 little alternate card styles, right? Yeah, there we go. Vraska, Betrayal, Sting, and Nahiri the Unforgiving. So I don't have those cards yet, but I have the alternate card styles. And that makes me win all 10 of them for this particular event. So we'll leave it there for tonight. Again, reminder, if you're new, subscribe. Whether you're new or not, please like the video. That allegedly helps me help find other customers, so to speak, other viewers and eyeballs to show off the decks to. And let me know if you want me to showcase any of these others before the event ends, any of these other decks. And let me know if you want to have more of these rants or conversations or hearings about conspiracy theories and discussions aside from just pure gameplay on my opinion on the state of the game and what's going on and how the meta environment's shaping and all that kind of stuff. All right, thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is Travis signing off for Tpull's Corner. Have a good one.